Disney Build One Put One. I'd say it's one of the most remarkable films, the best of 2021, especially for those who love science fiction. To act as a feature film, describe characters and build the world, DUNE Part 1 did his part relatively well. However, because DUNE's universe itself is complex and massive, so there's a lot of detail that the movie can't get into. If you have seen DUNE, it's hard to understand the details of the movie. This will be a video for you. Within the framework of this video, the film will explain some of the details, which we believe many of you have asked. At first, many of you will probably wonder, at Sao in a distant future perspective, with evolving technology, but people come back, using melee weapons. The reason is that in the universe of, there's a protective device called a shield. It's made out of a machine, creates a magnetic field of energy surrounding the object. People can use this energy field as a personal shield, or make a wide area shield depending on the size of the machine. Energy field generation. This reduces the speed of the object touching it, and it's able to decelerate objects that are so small that molecules. Conventional long-range weapons, when shooting at the shield, their bullets will slow down, and it's easy to trick or avoid. Therefore, the best way is to use a melee weapon like a spear or a knife. The attacker, when he hits the shields, can continuously deliver kinetic energy to get the weapon through the energy field, and they're on target. Or if using a long-range weapon, like guns or darts, with the crossbow, the best way is shoot before the enemy can turn on the shield, or not. It's aimed at the dead corner, so it's hard to get away. In the universe of course there are laser guns, but it's much less used. The reason is that when you shoot a laser at the shield, no one can know what's going to happen. Maybe the shield will be destroyed and the target will explode. The reaction will occur between the energy field and the bullet, cause counterattack to return to the source. Then both sides will be destroyed. The scary thing is 01. AI can predict what will this shot produce, so almost no one dares to use a gun, laser to deal with the shield. There's even more weapons of mass destruction, like atomic weapons. It's not even used for political reasons. By that, the most optimal way of fighting in the universe of extrusion is close combat, and use cold weapons. Who can be considered the main antagonist in DUNE? That's the Fat Baron. It's called Vladimir Hackern. He is the head of the Hackenen family, and Kai planetary governance Jad right? Until the time that cooking begins, that's 50,191. The Hackenen family held the Arakip for 85 years. As you know, the Arakip is the only place where incense is produced. It's the most important thing in the space empire. 1 decagram of this substance is now 620,000 sori. So with the extraction and storage of incense, the wealth of money of Hackenen is countless. About the relationship between the two Hackenen clans and in trades, then you can understand it simply. They are the enemy of God. The hatred between these two families, it started 10,000 years ago, and it lasts until now. The desire of bloody sugarcane Hackenen is always how Sao can destroy trades in general, and finish off Duke Leto in particular trades. The desire of Baron Lassam Hackern means destroying the family in trades. It's not just because of the hatred, but also because of the itch with Duke Leto's reputation. Even though the Hackenen family had become extremely wealthy, it's like being in the middle of Ara, but their reputation is bad. They are hardly respected by other families. Meanwhile, the House of Trade and the Duke of Litlaby, they are very respected and respected. They call him the Righteous Legion, and their status is getting higher and higher. This worried the Emperor, afraid that the Duke could harm his power. He started wanting to get rid of the family at trade, and so the Emperor and the Barons secretly worked together to devise a plan to destroy the clan in trades. The Emperor will find an excuse to strip the Rekip out of the hands of the Hackenen clan. The reason he gave, it's because the Hackenen's Kai is so harsh, and incense production is likely to decline. So, to end conflict with the indigenous people of Arakids, the Emperor asked the clan Trade, take over this planet. This is a live demo, so the family in Tratus couldn't refuse. Even though I know it's a trap, the Emperor is still the highest authority, and if public resistance only, family in Trade will have to face the good army alone, and the tyranny of the Emperor. Which clan can fight the Sadaka alone? Any family that dares to help in trade. If they resist, only the Emperor. So the Duke had no other choice, in addition to following orders and prepare to take over in Raucus. But why do we have to be so confused? At Sao, Baron and Emperor not directly attack a trades family. We have to get them to the Arakip. It's because of the political situation. It doesn't allow such a large-scale attack for no good reason. If you attack the clan at the trade in Arrakis, the Baron could use an excuse, discontent, to cede this planet to the enemy, or for whatever reason he likes. In addition to the trade force on the Arakip, it will be much less if you attack them at home. Duke Leto has enough strength to sustain. There will be an excuse to call the families and start a riot, overthrow the Emperor, carry out the attack on Ara. Kids will be much safer, because this planet has no tracking satellites. Other families will be blind to the reality of what's going on, and no one knows the Emperor's involvement in this conspiracy. Duke Leto knows very well, there's a trap waiting for me on Arrakis. This scheme of the Baron and the Emperor, I can't get through your eyes, you know that. The Hoggoland army will raid me, and the Shadoka will be there. So Duke Leto had to find a way to deal with it. Leaving the Rekip is not possible as mentioned above. He also knew that his forces were much thinner. Duke paralyzed, plan an alliance with the Fremen. For hearing that, they're elite and brave warriors. He planned to form an army of Fremen to fend off the Harkonnen raiders. However, the attack took place much earlier than he had predicted, and Dr. Ewer's treachery, it's also out of plan, of the family in trades. This led to the 7 failures of the nation in trade, and the death of Duke Leto, like that. But your family's hope remains, because Leto's son is Power Gies and his mother is Chelsea. Was able to escape. In the module we can see that Paul had seen and dreamed of many visions, even before Iraqi. Maybe you'll ask the question that, why do you have this ability? And what the visions Paul saw meant. We'll answer the first question. Why POW is capable of that. Part of the reason came from your mother Jessica. She's a nun of the Bene Gesserit. This nun block, who manipulated the politics of the empire through the roads, genetic and religious marriage. For centuries, this organization has sent its members getting married to families, which controls many good gene samples. Keep choosing to be able to create a perfect genome. Paul Atz is such a good genomic individual. Has been selected over hundreds of years, so your own blood has a lot of potential. And part of the reason is that from a young age, Paul was trained by his mother, according to the Line of Benacher series. So you're just as capable as your mother. The key to the training of Bene Gesserit is open your mind, and when combined with power, it's already in Paul's genetic code. You have the ability to see. It's about being able to see perspectives. The visions Paul saw. The future can happen. It means you can see the possibilities that things will happen. While on the planet Canada, this power has not been fully awakened, but when Paul came to Arrakit, and exposure to large amounts of incense in the air, your ability is stronger than ever. We can separate the visions Paul saw before and after the Arrakis. Before going to Arrakis, Paul had visions of a girl on the Arrakis. This girl's name is Chani, is the Femen. He will be important in Paul's life. Later when I talked to Donald Edhaho, you told him about prospects related to the establishment of alliance with Fremen. Paul also saw the death of Dinaldi Deho, and this scenario predicts the sacrifice of the warrior. When you later stop the enemy, help Paul and Jessica escape, and in a test with his mother Gaius Helen Morm, Poe sees the prospect of destruction, about blood and a crystal knife. These bricks forecast of the raid of the Harkonnen family, and the challenges that Paul had to go through when looking for a friend. After coming to the Arrakip into the first SA desert, Paul received a large amount of incense in the air, and they've awakened your self-awareness. Right now, Paul can see the possibilities. In the future, you can see more than one future. The roads you can see can't be. Thanks to these perspectives, you know your mother is pregnant, and then she'll become the ultimate mother of Raymond. Paul saw the possibilities about your death too, and keeps seeing pictures by Chani and the bloody crystal knife. Hiding in a tent in the middle of the desert, after fleeing from the Harkonnen, Poe continues to receive a large amount of incense in the air. Right now, the visions you see are of an event into war. This scenario implies that if Poe keeps looking for the Fremen, your actions could lead to a full-scale jihad, the whole universe. Fanatical armies of Raymond, I will kill in the name of Paul, and a series of planets will be destroyed. When trapped in a sandstorm, Paul sees visions of another Raymond with a pair of iron hooks. This man later appeared in the Fremen group that Paul's mother and son encountered. His name is Chamis. Must be the only one. Let Paul and Jessica go. That's why Paul fought Chamis. And the weapon you're using is a crystal knife, just like the scenarios you saw before. The crystal knife is a sacred weapon, made from the teeth of a dead sandworm, and combine that with the image of a pair of iron hooks in perspective. They refer to the Paul will learn how to write in the sand. It's something that every friend knows how to do. Besides the ability to see and the capabilities get through during the training of Bene Gesserit, Power JD also has some other capabilities as the heir to the At family from a young age. Paul has been trained in many areas by your father's talented followers. Dr. Ewer is in Neat, Idaho. They're all outstanding individuals, so they taught Paul a lot. That's why I'm 15 years old, but you've got a tremendous amount of knowledge about history, political, and a fairly mature person. Paul is also a great swordsman, learning how to fight from powerful warriors like Neat Idaho and Guns Harris. Parallel to that, you've also shown the gift of a mented, with remarkable use of the mind. All of these skills will help a lot in Paul's journey to the Renaissance. Throughout the movie, we see that Duke Leto in JDS. I've talked a lot about forming an alliance with a celebrity. And after the JD family collapsed, Paul thought about this too. According to Leto's vision, the key to holding the power of Kai Arakids, located in the Raymond. He called it the desert power, and when it was Paul's turn, you have to find a way to master this power to avenge the family. Paul realized that the Bene Gesserites had one Sone, the legend of a messiah for the Raymond. Take advantage of this very superstition. Paul can play God and make the desert warrior strong, become your servant. Shawnee in particular and Raymond in general, that's the way. Help Paul restore the family in 3 days. However, as Paul can see in earlier scenarios, to be the savior of the Raymond, it could lead to a terrible war. In the name of Paul, the army's fanatical Raymond will raise the family's flag in JD. It's killing all over the universe. Jessica knows this, and she thought about taking Paul away from the Iraqi, but you refuse. And the movie ends by Paul choosing to follow the Raymond group, choose the path of violence. Paul understands the risks of this choice, but it's the only way to restore the family. Revenge for father. Niv News selected, and the film opens this scene to say that Paul chose his path. You've chosen to make yourself a Feman. Choose to be Kiwatch Haddocked, that Benage series looking for. Young Paul is no more. You are now Duke Paul, the head of the trade. You found your way. And accept the painful cost of that journey. Those are the film critics' explanations of film. I hope after watching the video, you'll be able to better understand the film, as well as the universe. Ready for 1-2? It's expected to be much more explosive, whether the path the young messiah chose. I'll take your step next.